report might appear to be nothing special at first glance, but these companies print billions of dollars of cash each year in profit. If you would like to receive our free report of 7 stocks to buy and hold forever, simply text PROFIT to 68285 and we'll text you this report instantly. Text PROFIT to 68285 and we'll send you this free report right now. Text the word PROFIT to 68285.
Standard message and data rates may apply. Please consult with your investment or tax professional.
We welcome you into a Tuesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Excited to be with you. Looking forward to today because I view my job here at The Answer as not just giving you the day's headlines, but reading between the headlines, between the lines of the story and the headline, and coalescing information maybe from one source into another to tell you what's really going on. There is a scarcity of truth out there today. And there's a scarcity of pointing out how nefarious the mainstream media is in programming you. And they lead you down a path counting on you to not read the entire story or to have formulated in your mind through the tone of the story what the story is about. And then you sort of are numbed into not really reading the story with the degree of discernment and care that it requires. And very often it would be useful as you read these stories, particularly in news outlets like the Columbus Dispatch or any of the 3 television station websites in town. And let me say, first of all, the websites in town are not all nearly as bad as the Columbus Dispatch. They're not all nearly as bad as the public broadcasting system website here in town. But if you watch the local television stations, there's a very clear agenda in how they talk about things. For instance, when we had the debate about whether boys should be allowed to play girls' sports, that was never a bill characterized on television as protecting actual girls in girls' sports. That was never a bill about protecting minors whose brains are not fully developed until age 25 from making life-altering medical decisions. No, those bills were always characterized by Stacia Naquin and by Colleen Marshall and by every other single broadcaster in town and by everyone who has a byline in the Columbus Dispatch is how? An anti-trans bill, right? An anti-trans bill. It's not a pro-girls bill. It's not a pro-girls sports bill. It's not a pro, authentic biology bill. It's always an anti-trans bill. So in that vein, I wanted to go through with you 2 stories today in the early part of the show that touch on one of them, a familiar topic, the topic of affordable housing, right? I've railed about the misnomer of affordable housing. And the reason why they've coined the term affordable housing is because they don't want to use the term, which we're all familiar with until they stop using it, which is low-income housing. Low-income housing has a negative connotation. Affordable housing, well, that sounds kind of nice and sunshine and balloons. And wouldn't it be great if we had affordable housing? And I've pointed out that every neighborhood in Columbus, because it's governed by the rules of capitalism, supply and demand, determines its own level of affordability. If you want to live in certain parts of central Ohio, I used to say when I had a home in Upper Arlington, I was hesitant to sell it because, as I said many times to friends of mine, there's a heck of an entry fee to get back in. What did I mean by that? If you have a house in Upper Arlington, as the Upper Arlington real estate market increases, the value of your house increases. If you sell that house and you move outside Upper Arlington and you wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years to move back to Upper Arlington, well, there's a heck of an entry fee to get back in. Why? Because all the houses have increased in value and you likely have moved to another area of town. Not every area of town. You'd probably do okay if you moved to New Albany, or you might do okay if you moved to Dublin. But Upper Arlington is a place where the home values appreciate because why? It's close to downtown. It's safe. It's convenient. There are a lot of great things about Upper Arlington. Not so much anymore because the schools are hopelessly woke. And the area is not like it used to be, at least 50-50 Republican Democrat. It stinks of basically Upper East Side New York liberal mindset Democrats now throughout the city. I've had a friend who lives in Upper Arlington for years, puts a Trump sign out, it gets stolen. He puts a conservative Republican candidate for state office sign in his yard, it gets stolen. It's such a tolerant place, Upper Arlington. But this story in the Dispatch today is headlined, Why Columbus Apartment Rents Rank Among the Fastest Rising in the Nation. Why Columbus Apartment Rents rank among the fastest rising in the nation. Okay, so what are you generally thinking the story is going to tell you, right? Rents in Columbus are really, really expensive, super expensive. They're rising, they're the fastest in the nation. And here's the story from Jim Weicker. Columbus home buyers aren't the only ones suffering sticker shock. Central Ohio rents are also rising among the fastest in the nation. Oh boy, I can't wait to read and find out how high are they. He says the median rent for a Columbus apartment, that means half are priced above this number, half are priced below this number, that's what median means, was $1,298 at the end of the year, up 3.8% from a year earlier, the third highest jump in the nation, behind New York City and northern New Jersey. Wow. He says even in the least expensive parts of town, average rents are approaching $1,000 a month. And he cites areas of town where very few people want to live. North Linden, rent $956 a month. Far South Side, $960. Whitehall, $974. Southwest Side, $998. You got a good chance of getting murdered in Andrew Ginther's Columbus if you live in any of those four cities or four areas of the city. And then he goes on, other Central Ohio renters on a tighter budget, they can find a place for $700 or $800 a month, but they're finding the pickings increasingly thin. Talks about somebody who lives in North Linden, was looking for something, $700, $750 a month, couldn't find it. Everything's $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, blah, 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 blah. I tried Facebook, Zillow, apartments complex, blah. Now we're into like paragraph number 8 or 9 here, okay? The rents are terrible. This is what they cram down your throat and into your consciousness for like 8, 9, 10 paragraphs. Median rents skyrocketing, price increase. We're there with New York. Oh my goodness, how does anybody afford to live in Central Ohio? And then he talks about on the other end of the scale, apartments in the priciest parts of Columbus are topping $1,600 a month on average. Victorian Village, $1,823. New Albany, $1,687. Grandview Heights, $1,678. Powell, $1,658. Now we get to paragraph number 12, because you've had 11 paragraphs here of being told how horrible, awful, terrible, high, astronomical the rents are in Columbus. Paragraph number 12. By the way, do you think the Dispatch has an agenda on affordable housing? They write about it like 3 times a week. Lack of affordable housing. Here's paragraph 13. Starts like this. Some good news for renters. The average Columbus rent is $1,298 is, and I'm quoting, well below the national average of $1,709. So we are $400 under the average nationally for monthly rent. And the pace of rent hikes in Columbus, he writes, has declined from double digits 2 years ago. Is that the message you were fed for 12 paragraphs? No, you were fed that rents are up, they're astronomical, they're unaffordable. Then we get to paragraph 13 and we're like, oh, we're $400 under the national average. And the pace of rent hikes has declined double digits from 2 years ago. Average Columbus rents even declined a bit at the end of the year, said a guy named Rob Vogt, a partner in the Columbus-based apartment consultant service, VSI. You're being played. You're being told one thing, you get it formulated in your mind, it's this. You probably don't read down past the halfway point of the story before you find out what the real story is that Columbus rents are affordable compared to national rents. They are not gouging you on the price increases year over year, but that's not the narrative the Dispatch and all the developers in town want you to believe. They want you to believe, oh, we don't have enough housing and it's going up and nobody can afford it. Now, this is my favorite paragraph. Housing construction has risen the past few years, but remains, listen closely, well below where experts say it needs to be. Instead of building 18,000 or 19,000 homes and apartments a year to keep up, Central Ohio has been building 12,000 to 13,000. Experts say it needs to be there. Do residents say it needs to be there? Instead of building 18,000 and 19,000 homes and apartments a year to keep up with who? Keep up with whose projections? Who are we trying to please here? If you've got a home, if you've got an apartment, you're probably staying where you are because you're happy. If you want to move into town to be part of Intel or you be part of Amgen or be part of any of the other big companies, Google or whatever, just like I said to my friends when we sold our house in Upper Arlington and moved out to Madison County in 2002, just like that, I would say to you the same thing. There's a heck of an entry fee to get in. You don't have to move here.
Mostly sunny this afternoon, high today at 51. Clear to partly cloudy for tonight and the lower corners for
All right, so we got more on this housing situation because I only delved into like half the wokeness of this particular story. I love how we're told how we ought to want more housing. Maybe you live in Central Ohio because you like it not being as congested as some other places. Are you allowed to like that? Does that make you racist if you like that? Does that make you, I don't know, something ageist, sizeist, anti-development? I mean, I'm just cracking up here over the fact that those of us who've lived here for a long time are told we have to feel sorry for people who can't come in here or can't find what they're looking for. When those of us who've found what we're looking for because we're not a Johnny-come-lately to this area, we're told there's something wrong with us if we don't want to become something else. Oh, we're Charlotte, 55%. They're developing at 55% faster than us. Okay, great. Move to Charlotte. Now, if this is really a problem, is there money available to fix the problem? Well, in this next segment, I'll prove to you there is money available, but is it being used to fix the problem? Or is it being spent unwisely? Can't wait to tell you about that.
Or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35%.
So we're in commercial. We'll be out of commercial here shortly.
$10 off any additional.
A live read coming up about the place where you need to go if you need flooring. And then we'll be back into the show. Appreciate you watching. You can shoot me a message on Facebook if you're watching on one of my Facebook channels.
Planning for retirement. Small task. If you don't know where to start, join Rodney Peters.
So I'll be right back with you here momentarily.
10 and 2 for Retire Ready Ohio. Rodney shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course of your retirement. Listen every Saturday, 10 and 2, Retire Ready Ohio, with Rodney Peters of Peters Wealth Group. The firm offers insurance services, investment advisory services are offered through Peters Wealth Group, a state-registered investment advisor.
Hey, Joe. Hey,
Living on a fixed income is tough. So here I am, an essential.
I mean, food prices are going up every day. Thank goodness for benefitscheckup.org. Benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can get help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
No need to debate the issue. Blinds.com's President's Day sale can save you up to 50% on new premium window treatments. Finally, there's a better way to give your home the presidential treatment. With Blinds.com, you'll never deal with pushy salespeople campaigning in your home or spend hours at overwhelming showrooms. Shop 100% online with upfront pricing, free virtual consultations, free samples, and free shipping. From natural wood shutters to motorized shades and more. Get unlimited premium custom window treatments installed for one low cost. Do it yourself, or elect to have a pro handle the installation. Our free design experts are ready to help you make the perfect selection. Blinds.com has you and your windows covered with our 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're not happy, we'll make it right. Now that's President's Day. Shop Blinds.com's President's Day sale happening now for up to 50% off, plus premium doorbusters. Save up to 50% at Blinds.com. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, I assume you have plans for the afternoon. I do too, but I bet my plans aren't your plans. My plans are to go to a condo and measure it for flooring. That's what I do when I leave the Bruce Hooley Show. I sell flooring for soft step carpet and flooring in Plain City. Easy to get to, right on 161, just down from Costco. I was there yesterday afternoon. Shout out to George. George came in yesterday afternoon, said, I heard you talking about soft step carpet on the Bruce Hooley Show, and you said you were going to be here, and I wanted to come and see if you were there. Yes. Now, would you like to have me come to your place and measure your space and get you awesome carpet, awesome luxury vinyl plank flooring, looks like wood, looks like tile? I can do it. I will do it. I would love to do it. Why can we save you money at Soft Step? We don't have an expensive retail location. We don't have wrap vehicles. We don't have multi-levels of management. What we have are the same exact flooring products you get at the big box stores, only much lower overhead, which saves you money. Soft Step Carpet and Flooring in Plain City. Email me, brucehooley@gmail.com, brucehooley@gmail.com. Soft Step Carpet and Flooring. So I started segment number 1 today talking about this story in the Dispatch, leading you down the Primrose path with the headline, Why Columbus Apartment Rents Rank Among the Fastest Rising in the Nation. Now, it's not just how they position facts in the story. And Jim Weicker could call here and he could say, you created the impression that I was lying in my story. No, I know you're not lying. I know you're skillfully using the statistics and everything to present a case. You're just not presenting the authentic case, because your headline and your first 12 paragraphs of the story, or 11 paragraphs of the story, position it like the rates of rent in Columbus are skyrocketing and that the amount people pay for an apartment is not affordable. And then in the 12th paragraph, you get into, some good news. Rent is below the national average by $400 a month. And that the pace of rate hikes in Columbus has declined from double digits 2 years ago. So that's the real story here. But there's more that's not in the story. There's like a notable name left out of the story when we transition in the story about skyrocketing rents in Columbus and why housing construction, according to experts, is not where it needs to be. Why would housing construction not be where it needs to be? I mean, we're booming, right? We got all kinds of tech coming into town. We got Google, we got Amgen, we got Intel, although the Intel thing seems to be losing its momentum. Here's Trey Giller, President and Chief Executive Officer of Metro Development, one of the largest apartment builders in Columbus. And Trey says the cost of development is through the roof. It's everything: water, sewer, sidewalks. We got to do something about it. I agree with you, Trey Giller. We do have to do something about it. But give me a little more information, if you would, first, and then maybe I can tell you what we need to do about it. Giller pointed to 2 of the company's recent apartment projects, both in Delaware County. And he says in the, pay attention, 3 years or so between these 2 projects, which are very similar, the cost per apartment rose 46%. Now, one of these complexes, called Seattle House in Delaware itself, opened in 2020. Remember that, 2020. And the Ravines at Meadow Ridge in Sunbury, which Metro started last year, in the 3 years or so between the projects, which are very similar. Now, it's not like one's luxury and one's low end. Mr. Giller, Mr. Apartment Construction Expert, says the cost per apartment rose 46%. Rents are a function of the market and costs, he said, Mr. Expert. We saw tremendous increases in costs from 2020 to 2023. Gee, can anybody put their finger on something that might have happened that would trigger apartment costs and construction costs? And he says everything from water to sewer, sidewalks. Can anybody put their finger on what might have caused this dramatic increase in costs from 20 to 23. Jim Weicker can't. Jim Weicher's totally flummoxed by this, the writer of the story. He's totally flummoxed because the name Joe Biden, the word inflation, none of it appears in this story. None of it. Well, we allow people to keep on going on and talking about how horrible and terrible and awful this is. And then he gets to a couple, and I won't mention the couple's name because I don't think it's purposeful, but he says they had an apartment in Powell that went from $900 to $1,200 a month in 3 years, prompting the couple to search for another apartment. But every 2-bedroom apartment they found in the area that they liked was $1,600 to $2,000 a month, leading to, Jim Weicker says, a radical decision. And he quotes the husband. And here's the radical decision the husband came to. About halfway through the search, I started to do the math and figured we could buy a house. Yeah, so they bought a house in Reynoldsburg. The monthly payment is $1,500. And so now, little lesson in capitalism, kids. Shout out to my brother who taught me this lesson in 1988 when I moved to Columbus and I was paying $565 for a townhouse. And he was like, why don't you buy a house? And I'm like, well, I never considered it. And he's like, if you rent an apartment, every dollar you're spending on your apartment is like poof, gone in the wind. But if you buy a house, you get the tax break of the loan payment and you get that money back, or at least as a deduction on your taxes. So millennials who want to live downtown and want to have convenient walking neighborhoods in Dublin at Bridge Park, and I got nothing against Bridge Park, it's a nice development, but don't whine to me about your rent being high, and don't whine to me about, I don't want the responsibility of taking care of a yard or maintaining this or that. I want to just, my toilet leaks, I want to call my landlord. That's the cost of having an apartment. And yes, when your lease expires, your landlord can raise your rent. It's called supply and demand. It's called capitalism. They don't teach it in school anymore. They will if Senate Bill 83 goes through, or House Bill 83. Now, can anything be done to fix this? I mean, public money, right? Like, we got tax money, tax me, tax the guys out in the rural areas to pay for the convenience of living in an apartment. Well, there's another story in the Dispatch today. Headline, State Super Duper Fund to shower millions on Central Ohio for projects not yet detailed. Huh? Yes, Bill Bush writes about the Super Duper Fund of leftover federal COVID-19 emergency dollars. I got a question. Why can't we send that money back to pay down our debt? Oh, heaven forbid, Bruce. What are you, old-fashioned, pay your bills responsible party? We don't give back federal money. We spend it. What are we spending it on? I would think if we have a lack of affordable housing in Central Ohio, we would spend it on, incentivizing the construction of affordable housing. No. The Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, a nonprofit, wink, wink, created by the city to focus on downtown strategic planning. What are they going to spend $10 million on? Here it is. A 2-mile loop exclusive to pedestrian and bike traffic that would be dotted with public art and other experiences. Oh boy, you got to love those other experiences, don't you? Now, I'll delve into this more deeply in the next segment, but if we really have a housing issue, and if we really need to fix it, as the headlines 2 or 3 times a week in the local rag newspaper and local websites tell us, why do we have to spend $10 million on a 2-mile bike loop? Oh, because it makes it great to live downtown. Yeah, it does. But if you have a hard problem to solve, maybe you have to do hard things to solve it.
SRN News, Robert Thomason. President Biden is in California, where he will spend several days attending some big money fundraisers. Much of California remains under flash flood watches or warnings as another rain-laden atmospheric river sweeps across the state. With the state's Republican primary just 4 days away, former President Nikki Haley focusing their campaign today on South Carolina. defying international pressure to back down, including pressure from the U.S. to agree to a ceasefire. Israel is pursuing its drive to crush Hamas in Gaza. The 80th Annual National Religious Broadcasters Association Convention opens today in Nashville. Former President Trump will be addressing the delegates on Thursday. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 8 points, the Nasdaq off 169, and the S&P trading 27 points lower. More details at srnnews.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code COIN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside and use promo code COIN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code COIN for a 25 cents. News, opinion, passion. 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart. This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. When Biden took office, the basket of goods included in CPI cost $262. Today, that same basket costs $309. That's a 19% increase. Things cost almost a fifth more than they did when Trump left office. Nothing exhibits to ordinary Americans the failure of economic policy more than inflation. We see it when we shop for groceries, that relentless creep upwards in prices from month to month. We see it at the gas station when filling up our tanks empties out our wallets. It's not just a Biden thing, it's a ruling class thing. Moronic monetary policy, feckless foreign policy, and socialist stagnation have all contributed to where we are today. Getting Biden out of power will help, but really, that's just the beginning. We need the entire ruling elite of America out of power, and we need American civilization rebuilt from the bottom up. Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're searching for the truth. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled program. Something actually worth watching. Salem News, straightforward, unfiltered, with in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, like Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Find truth. Watch 24/7 on SNC.TV. Local now, channel 525.
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Oh, I love sleeping. It's rejuvenating, isn't it? Restorative, rehabilitative. Yes, it is. But if you can't sleep at night, that's got to be frustrating. It's not fun laying in bed. I wish I could go to sleep. I wish I could. And you stress yourself out. But you don't do that if you have the array of MyPillow products that I have. MyPillow, Mike Lindell, revolutionized the sleep industry with a simple pillow. Now, I'm like you. I used to watch the commercial and go, how much difference can a pillow make? And then I was at the Greater Columbus Home Show, and there was a MyPillow booth. I wasn't going to order one unless I laid my head on it and could tell a difference. Well, I did, and I could. So I purchased two. And if anybody tries to come for mine in my house, well, let's just say there's an extensive search made because I can't sleep without it now. I used to wonder why my wife took her pillow with her on the road. Now I know, because nobody gets their hands on my pillow. You can get one at mypillow.com. Use the promo code Bruce. Kudos to the city of Gahanna, which has honored 3 of its division of police officers with the Medal of Honor for their heroic actions responding to the bus crash on I-70 that killed several Tuscarora Valley High School students. I think there were 6 people, 3 adults and 3 students killed in that crash. These officers were on their way to a training and happened upon the crash and were the first people there and leaped into action, rendering aid, moving people out of harm's way. They said they didn't want to get an award for it. One of the officers said, "It's a mixed feeling. The crash was such a tragedy, and our hearts go out to the families that had a loss or a serious injury. It's an honor. We're supported and appreciated by the department, the city, and the community. It's why we show up and do what we do." The 3 honored are Sergeant Justin Sheesby, Sergeant Kyle Parrish, and Officer Kalia Pertz. They received congressional proclamations from U.S. Representative Joyce Beatty, Democrat of Columbus, who most notably was not in attendance Monday night when the officers were presented with their proclamations. Now, because it would be bad campaign business for Joyce Beatty, head of the Congressional Black Caucus, to show up and honor 3 police officers. That would look bad on her political resume. And of course, Joyce Beatty is nothing if not a political animal. She's not going to do anything that would harm her chances of being reelected, which would be virtually impossible given how blindly people in the city of Columbus vote for Democrats. Our hearts go out to the Mifflin Township police officer Sunday night who was stabbed in the head by a deranged, likely mentally ill 37-year-old from Mansfield who has a history of felonious assaults and violence against police officers. But of course, you can't lock the guy up to keep people safe. We have to leave him out until he actually kills somebody. But thankfully, this 37-year-old is now in custody. And hopefully the officer will recover and will be fine. Let me throw a couple things at you. I'll get back to the state super duper fund and the money that they're wasting on a bike path in downtown Columbus. But first of all, you know, the theme of the first half hour of the show was how you're being lied to by the media and how facts are presented in a very strategic way, or facts are left out, or facts are buried. And sometimes news stories are just memory hold, right? Like, we can't get the names of the 2 17-year-olds who shot up the victory parade of the Kansas City Chiefs. We can't get their name. And the reason why we can't get their name is, well, they're juveniles. That's what we're told, right? We can't get their names because they're juveniles. Does the name Kyle Rittenhouse resonate with anybody? Kyle Rittenhouse was publicly pilloried by every liberal media commentator as going on a vigilante spree in Wisconsin when it was being burnt to the ground by George Floyd protesters. When that happened, Kyle Rittenhouse was 17. I guess maybe he's not entitled to the protections of juveniles. Does anybody remember the name Nick Sandmann? Nick Sandmann at the March for Life, just standing there, just looking at this crazed lunatic. I don't know if he's a genuine Native American or a fake Native American. And Nick Sandmann's a rich young man today because CNN paid him lots and lots of money because Nick Sandmann, a juvenile, had his name dragged through the mud nationally. Nick Sandmann, not subject to the protections of the Kansas City 17-year-old parade shooters. Did you know about this? Friday at the University of Colorado, there was a shooting in which 2 white victims, one 24 years old, Samuel Knopp, and one 26-year-old, Salee Montgomery, were shot to death by 25-year-old Nicholas Jordan of Detroit. Montgomery and Knopp, the victims, are white. Nicholas Jordan, 25 of Detroit, who was the roommate of Knopp, who he murdered. Nicholas Jordan is black. Are hate crime charges on the table for this? I don't know. Would they be on the table if the shooter were white and the victims were black? I don't know. Did you even know this happened? Was this reported in the national media over the weekend? Did we have like a national conversation about this? No, we didn't. Funeral services were held last week for a Blount County, Tennessee sheriff's deputy, Greg McGowan, who at a traffic stop was shot and killed by a guy by the name of Kenneth DeHart. Mr. McGowan, described as a good cop, a good man, a good friend. Not good enough to make national headlines, though. Not good enough to make national headlines. We just, here in Columbus, dealt with the heartache of 5-year-old Darnell Taylor being killed by his, likely killed by his foster mom. Did you know that there was a young black child by the name of Alex Wise who was run over and murdered in Texas on February the 8th, near Midland, Texas? Alex Wise was run over by 50-year-old Rogelio Ortiz, previously deported 5 times. Rogelio Ortiz, an illegal alien. He ran over and killed, murdered 10-year-old Alex Wise, a young black child. Did this make national headlines? Well, it did on FoxNews.com. I couldn't find it on MSNBC. Couldn't find it. Shocker. So that's how you're being played. That's how it's done. And anybody who tries to tell the story differently is vilified, marginalized, and canceled, including, I would even say, particularly people who are black and are honest brokers. One of them is a gentleman by the name of Roland Fryer. Roland Fryer is an economist. He was one of the world's most celebrated economists. He had a position at Harvard, youngest tenured professor ever at Harvard. Got that tenure at age 30. He won the MacArthur Genius Fellowship, followed by another couple of big, high academic honors. And then he decided, you know, in the wake of George Floyd, I'm going to do a study on how many black men are killed by police. And what Roland Fryer's data found is that young black men are not murdered by police at an astronomically high rate, which is what we were told for years and years and years while our cities burned. And so Roland Fryer was targeted by Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, and was fired by Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard. And now Claudine Gay herself has been fired because her wokeness has been exposed. Here's Roland Fryer on a panel with Barry Weiss this past weekend.
Clear to partly cloudy for tonight and a low of 27. For tomorrow, times of sunny clouds, mild day. High tomorrow at 58. Periods of rain. It'll be breezy on Thursday. The high Thursday at 52. Times of clouds and sun on Friday. The high 51. After a cloudy start, some sun on Saturday. High Saturday afternoon, just 36. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Mike Gallagher, and Dr. Sebastian Gorka on the Patriots Alaska cruise this summer. It's going to be an incredible opportunity to engage other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join Dr. Gorka and me, Mike Gallagher, from June 29th to July the 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or reserve online at patriotsalaskacruise.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I had paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me, calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It's because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne,
And I'm Danica Bourne.
and we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We're the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Brandon Tatum sees more shenanigans in Georgia.
So they lied about their relationship until 2022. Because let me tell you why. If they were to say we were in a relationship before I was appointed, then it's a clear sign that this was not an impartial appointment. So they make up a lie and say we a few months after I got appointed.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7 on 98.9 FM.
All right, a little more on the state's super duper fund.
Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors and friends. We are your sons and daughters. Our service is providing us valuable job skills, and it pays up to 100% of our tuition. We're proud to serve our state. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
So we have a fair amount of family coming in from Arizona tonight and over the next few days. My daughter is in a musical. She's got one of the lead roles, and they're coming to see her. And as perfect timing would have it, a shipment is going to arrive on my doorstep today or tomorrow from riverbendranchsteaks.com. Oh, we're going to be eating great at the Hooley household with steak that has no hormones and no antibiotics. If you don't know about riverbendranchsteaks.com, you can find out more by going to riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. It'll take you right to my page, and you can enroll right then and there. Would you like steaks shipped to your door every month? You can do that. Would you like them shipped to your door every other month? You can do that. Now, what's different about riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley from Moink and Butcher Box and Omaha Steaks, besides the fact that riverbendranchsteaks.com steaks are less expensive, is that the process is controlled from breeding to butchering to shipping to your door on site. No outside influence. riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. I know most people don't keep track of the daily goings on in the Ohio General Assembly, but as we've hopefully demonstrated on this show time and time again, there are very, very consequential things going on at the State House, things that have a much greater chance well, at least as good a chance of impacting your daily life and the quality of your daily life as what goes on in Congress, which is really not much going on in Congress right now, except they're fighting all the time and can't get anything done. And the overthrow of Mike DeWine's stupid veto of the Save Women's Sports Act and the SAFE Act, that's an example of why it's important to pay attention to state politics, because your phone calls to your state legislators, they're a lot more accountable to you than Mike Carey is, or Jim Jordan is, or Mike Turner and Dayton are. The districts in the state of Ohio are much, much smaller than a congressional district, and so you can have a real impact. You can have a real impact in county commissioner races. You can have a real impact in township trustee races and school board races. So you got to pay attention to what's going on at the State House. And the Republicans at the State House have generally done a pretty good job, but I don't know who decided that they would not turn back a bunch of COVID money that the state is holding on to, and then that they would put it in something that they decided they would call the Super Duper Fund. Now, I'm just brainstorming here. I've never been a state legislator. But if somebody said, hey, what do you think we call it the Super Duper Fund? I'd say, I think we can do better. I think we can do better. That sounds a little cavalier, a little not really being vigilant about where the money's going, the Super Duper Fund. But that's what they're calling it. And from this Super Duper Fund, $10 million is going to an organization called the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation to build a super duper bike path in downtown Columbus, exclusive to pedestrian and bike traffic, that would be dotted with public art and other experiences. Oh, those other experiences. The lack of accountability on this project is stark to me. The bike lanes are going to be 5 feet wide with a cement planter down the middle 3 feet wide. So that's a big hunk of real estate downtown. And I don't know, if they're all that concerned about affordable housing, maybe give the $10 million to the affordable housing people, although they just wasted on some woke organization. But at least you'd be showing you at the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation that you really care about the quote unquote problems you're always complaining about. The Ohio House and the Ohio Senate each have their own $350 million pot of cash to divvy up. Now, I'm just curious. If in Ohio, we have $700 million in the Super Duper Fund, and there are 50 states, I don't know, maybe we're like special favorite state of Joe Biden. I don't think so. We have $700 million. Would I be right or wrong to assume that there are other states that have $700 million laying around that they're going to spend on bike paths and other woke, stupid public art and experiences? And if so, given our astronomical and never, ever slowing down burgeoning national debt, now that COVID is over and even the Democrats agree COVID is over, could we not? Here's an idea, Mike Carey. Here's an idea, Mike Turner, Jim Jordan. Pass a law that the states have to send that money back to Washington, D.C. to pay down our debt. Or put it in the Social Security Solvency Fund. Like, I'd just rather see that than to spend it on bike paths. But the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, according to one of its backers, says this will be a transformative project for the downtown area, somewhat similar to what Indianapolis has done. How many decades are we going to try to keep up with Indianapolis? Like, after, I would think like in the 90s, Columbus would have gotten tired of comparing itself to Indianapolis. When Indianapolis had like the foresight to build a downtown dome and lure an NFL team there from Baltimore and host Final Fours in that facility and then tear that one down and build a bigger downtown dome with world-class convention space and steal all the big shows that Columbus would like to get. I would think a city like Columbus that has always had an inferiority complex about having to list Ohio next to Columbus because people in America don't know where Columbus is unless you say Ohio. I would think we would stop comparing ourselves to Indianapolis because we have long since lost that comparison. But no. What else are we doing with our Super Duper Fund money? Well, we're going to spend $10 million for a new downtown music hall for the Columbus Symphony Orchestra. I got nothing against the Symphony Orchestra. Strikes me from the times I've gone that the people who go to see the Columbus Symphony Orchestra are wealthy people. And I have no problem if they want a new symphony hall. But how about your patrons pay for that instead of COVID money? Now, this is interesting. The Columbus Downtown Development Corporation has declined a written request from the Dispatch to share plans for the city-owned land where the new music hall is going to go, referring such request to the orchestra. The orchestra, the Dispatch said it can't answer the Dispatch's inquiry unless it first checks with the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation. You have lived this very nightmare, have you not? You go to mom, hey mom, can I go to the movies? I don't know, ask your dad. You go to your dad, hey dad, can I go to the movies? I don't know, ask your mom. You just can't get the two in the room. Maybe if the Dispatch got the Downtown Development Corporation and the orchestra in the same room, they could get an answer as to the $10 million plans for this land. Now, this is really interesting. And of course, because it makes the city look stupid, which it doesn't need any help doing, it's buried like 4 paragraphs from the end. You would think Columbus City Council would have some bearing on where this money goes and how much money is doled out to the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation. Nope. Here's the paragraph. The Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, not Columbus City Council, must approve the plan, which cannot be altered without the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation's approval. So if City Council objects to this, and they're a bunch of woke Democrats, all Democratic City Council, they probably won't because nobody loves spending and wasting money like a Democrat. City Council probably won't object to this, but even if they did, the people who are getting the $10 million for the orchestra hall and spending the $10 million on the bike path, the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, a nonprofit, I'd sure like to see the salaries on the people in charge of the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation. The nonprofit has total control over this project over and above what Columbus City Council can do. Columbus City Council, Shannon Hardin's awake, which, we know he's not. Hey, where is Columbus City Council on requiring this money to be spent on lowering crime initiatives, or maybe hiring investigators to solve the murders of Mackenzie Ridley or Olivia Kurtz or any of the other black teenagers in town? Maybe Joyce Beatty would be able to come to town for that. She can't come to honor the 3 white Gahanna police officers. Could she come if we were going to give millions to hiring or just hiring enough police officers to fully staff our police department? A friend of mine's car was broken into. She was told they can't do anything about it. Not enough staff.
It's certainly changed a lot in the last few years. We're facing money dangers that we haven't seen in a while, maybe ever. Inflation continues to be a problem.
That's it.
Interest rate increases
Get your riverbendranchsteaks.com membership started. I'm not kidding you. Steak is phenomenal. I'm not a steak guy. I don't like chewy meat. The New York strips, the filet mignon, tender as the day is long. I was skeptical, but a friend said, you got to try this. It's phenomenal. And, I can't have like store-bought meat because who knows what's in it. Got to eat healthy when you have the medical condition that I have. So I subscribed, and man, it's phenomenal. So riverbendranchsteaks.com. And if you need flooring, I'm headed to a flooring appointment this afternoon. I'd love to head to your house, commiserate, we'll talk. Let me get you hooked up with carpet, save you money, depending on how much you want. I can save you like well over $1,000 if you need a whole house, an upstairs, a downstairs. I'm telling you, our stuff is the same exact products, same exact Mohawk, Shaw, Anderson, Dreamweaver, engineered floors, all the same products. but we have lower overhead, and that's how we save you money. Soft step carpet, just email me, brucehooley@gmail.com, brucehooley@gmail.com. All right, have a great day. And today we'll do an after show right at 1 o'clock. I have to hop on it because I've got that flooring appointment, but we'll do an after show at 1 o'clock today. That'll be on my personal Facebook channel. So appreciate you guys joining us, and have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Meteorologist Adam Rourke in the Los Angeles area says